I don't even know why I'm still posting this. I mean, why the fuck am I sitting here typing? Why am I sharing this with strangers? With people who are probably reading this for cheap thrills? Or maybe out of some morbid curiosity? I don't fucking know. Maybe I'm doing it because it's the only thing that makes sense right now, the only thing keeping me tethered to something real. Or maybe I've already lost it. Maybe I'm typing because if I stop, if I let go, then everything that's happened will hit me all at once and I'll finally break. Maybe this is the only way I can pretend I'm still in control. But the funny thing is, I'm not in fucking control. I never was. And now, as if things couldn't get any worse, someone is dead. Yeah, you read that right. Someone is fucking dead, and it's because of that thing. I tried. I tried to figure it out, tried to stop it, but I couldn't. And now there's no turning back. So I guess this is my confession. Or maybe it's just me screaming into the void. Either way, this is what happened. This is how it all went to shit. It started 2 nights ago. Or was it 3? I don't even know anymore. Time doesn't make sense in this house, not since she started creeping into every corner, every crack in the walls. It's like the air is thick with her now. Like she's seeped into the very foundation of this place. And as for the boy, well, he's not even the same kid anymore. Hell, I don't even know if he's still in there. Anyway, the night I'm talking about was quiet. Too fucking quiet. The kind of quiet that feels wrong, like the silence is just waiting for something to break. I was sitting in the living room again, just staring at the walls, I guess. The house was dark, except for the faint glow from the streetlights outside, and the cold was worse than ever. It felt like I was sitting in a freezer, my breath fogging up in front of me. But the boy? He was upstairs. Sleeping, I thought. Or maybe just pretending to sleep. I don't know anymore. Then came a knock at the door. Not a loud, frantic knock, but a soft, steady tapping. Like someone was there, but they didn't want to disturb me too much. It was weird. Nobody comes to my house, especially not this late. My first thought was, who the hell would be out in this cold? My second thought was, why am I even thinking about opening the door? But I did. I got up, crossed the room, and opened the door. And Richard was standing there. Yeah, Richard. The same friend I told you about before, the one who came by to help me figure things out. The one who heard the whispers and saw the boy acting weird. He looked rough. His face was pale, his eyes wide and bloodshot like he hadn't slept in days. His clothes were rumpled like he'd been wearing the same thing for days on end. In a low voice, he greeted me and asked if he could come in. I don't know why, but I hesitated. Something about the way he was standing there, the way his eyes darted around the doorway like he was expecting something to jump out at him, made me nervous. But I let him in. Because what else was I supposed to do? He stepped inside, rubbing his hands together to warm them up. The second he crossed the threshold, though, I swear the temperature in the room dropped even more. It was like the cold followed him inside, like it clung to him, wrapping around his body like a shroud. Closing the door behind him, I angrily asked what he was doing here. He didn't answer me right away. He just stood there, staring at the floor, his breath fogging up in the cold air. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he spoke. With a voice barely above a whisper, he explained that he was here to warn me about something terrible. Confused, I asked him to elaborate further. He looked up at me then, and the expression on his face. God, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like he was looking at me, but also looking through me, like I wasn't even there. He went on to say that some entity, a woman, had apparently been following him ever since he left my house. The second he said that, my stomach dropped. I knew exactly who he was talking about. I didn't even have to ask. I could feel her too, hovering over us, watching from the shadows. Meekly, I asked him what he meant when he said she was following him. Of course, I had some idea about what he meant, but I was curious as to whether he was experiencing the same things I was. He didn't answer. He just walked over to the couch and sat down, his head in his hands. He looked like he was falling apart, like the weight of whatever was haunting him was crushing him from the inside out. Then he started telling me about his experience, about the constant whispers and how he can't sleep because of her constant gaze. He said she was waiting for him to grow weak, for him to slip up. I didn't know what to say. I mean, how do you even respond to something like that? I thought I was the one losing my mind, but now, seeing him like this, it was like I was looking into my own future, like I was seeing what was going to happen to me if I didn't figure this shit out. And then he said something that made my blood run cold. He thought she was going to kill him. That was it. That was the moment I knew we were fucked. There was no getting out of this. Not for him, not for me, not for the boy. She had her hooks in us, and she wasn't going to let go. I tried to get more out of him, tried to understand what exactly had been happening to him since he left, but he wouldn't say much more. He just kept repeating the same thing over and over. She's here. She's always here. Eventually, I told him to stay the night. I didn't want him leaving, not in the state he was in. I figured we could talk more in the morning, try to come up with a plan, maybe figure out how to stop whatever this was. But there wasn't a morning. Not for Richard. I don't know what time it was when it happened. All I know is that I woke up to the sound of footsteps. Heavy, deliberate footsteps, like someone was walking around downstairs. At first I thought it was Richard, but then I remembered how fucked up he'd been the night before. He wouldn't be wandering around the house like that, not in his state. I grabbed the flashlight from my nightstand and crept out of bed, my heart pounding in my chest. The footsteps were getting louder, moving toward the living room. I could feel that same heavy, oppressive air pressing down on me, making it hard to breathe. When I got to the living room, the first thing I saw was the boy. He was standing in the corner, his back to me, his head slightly tilted to one side, like he was listening to something only he could hear. But that wasn't what stopped me in my tracks. It was Richard. He was lying on the floor, his body twisted at an unnatural angle, his eyes wide open and staring up at the ceiling. There was blood. So much blood. It was pooling around his head, soaking into the carpet. His mouth was open in a silent scream, and his hands were covered in it, covered in his own blood. I froze. I couldn't move, couldn't think. All I could do was stare at him, my mind screaming at me to do something, but my body refusing to cooperate. And then the boy turned around. His eyes were black again, just like they'd been in the basement. Just like they'd been the other night when he told me she wasn't leaving. With a calm voice, the boy told me he did it. He said that the woman told him to, and that it was Richard's time. That was when I lost it. I don't even remember what happened after that. I think I screamed. I think I grabbed him, tried to shake him, tried to get him to tell me why the fuck he'd done this, why she had made him do it. But he didn't answer. He just stood there, his eyes black as night, staring at me like I was nothing, like I wasn't even human. I don't know how long I stood there, but eventually I called the police. I told them. Fuck, I don't even remember what I told them. Something about an accident, something about Richard slipping and falling. I don't know. I don't fucking know. They came. They took him away. They took Richard's body away. But they didn't take her. She's still here. I can feel her. Watching, waiting. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to stop this. Richard is dead, and it's because of me. Because I let this happen. Because I let her in. I think I'm next. I don't even know why I'm posting this. Maybe because I have nothing left. Maybe because it doesn't matter anymore. Richard is dead. My friend is dead. What the fuck do I do now? For more chilling stories, like and subscribe.